Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition, that's right, of Live from My Mother's Basement. Okay, so we're not in the basement right now, but we wish we were.
Yeah.
I'm so thrilled to have this guest on my show right now, who happens to be from the flip side of showbiz, the music side and the producing, directing, writing side, whereas me, I'm just a performer. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my friend Joe Bartone.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Nice Italian name.
Yeah, Bartone, originally.
Thanks for finding me, man.
Yeah.
I forgot exactly how we met. We met at a show, right?
We did, I think, yes, probably, I can't even remember where at this point.
Had to have been a comedy show here in Los Angeles.
Probably.
And I would say maybe the Laugh Factory in Hollywood.
Good.
And then we started bullshitting.
Yeah.
I liked the glasses and said, you need to come over. I want to have you on Live from My Mother's Basement.
Well, there's not too many Italians in L.A.
Yeah, that's right.
There's not that. I mean, at least where I grew up in Providence. There's Italians everywhere, but not here. In New Jersey, there are a lot of Italians in Jersey.
Everywhere, every street corner. But everybody knows, okay, New York, New Jersey, Boston, Providence, Rhode Island.
Sure.
I think there's some kind of history that says Providence, Rhode Island actually has the most Italians.
Well, yeah, because as I understand it, like there was a threat of a volcano in Italy, and the town of Itri moved from Italy over to what is now Western Cranston and Providence. So, and those are all the Neapolitans. They spoke Nobledan, which is that, kind of like the New Jersey of Italian accents. My dad spoke Nobledan. He wouldn't teach me Italian because it was like, it's kind of like, it's like New Jersey Italian.
Okay, so you see how great this is to start. Because I'm aware of this,
right?
But I didn't know about the volcano.
Yeah, that's what I guess my grandmother told me.
I didn't know about Nobledan.
Yeah.
But where I'm from in New Jersey, I'm Bruzzese.
Right.
And of course, most people spoke Calabrese.
Right.
And although everybody has descendants and family from Italy, they segregate.
Right.
Like state to state.
Yes.
Which is the weirdest thing.
Right.
I've had this conversation on my show many times.
Oh, that's great.
Like, it would be like people in Texas speak a different language from people in Utah.
That's right. It's a different dialect, different way of saying stuff. And if you don't speak Roman, like you were considered, yeah.
That's true. So, Roman, right. The best.
The best, right.
The eloquent.
The eloquent Italian.
So
I mean, it got really bad, though. Like, I would go into restaurants and order food that my grandmother would make at home, like aglioli. And, like, the waiter would have no idea what the heck I was saying. And I would say, what do you mean? It's aglioli. It's aglioli. And finally I said alio. It's like, oh, no, aglioli. Because I was mad because it was supposed to be, but it is aglio. But of course, there you go.
So for our friends who are not of Italian descent who are watching us right now.
Are there?
When this airs.
We're all Italian, right?
No.
Okay.
We got to explain some of this.
All right.
He's saying with oil.
With oil. Yeah.
And there is a dialect. So the way he said it, I get it.
Yeah.
But my family would have said aya oya.
Aya oya, see? Exactly.
Aya.
So you walk in a restaurant, you order aya oya, the waiter would be confused, right? Yeah, totally, yeah.
However, the way he said it, the way my family would say it, is actually, I want to say, white trash Italian.
Yes.
White trash Italian.
Yes, my dad wouldn't teach me Italian for that reason. Because he's, sorry, I hit
It's all right.
My dad wouldn't teach me Italian for that reason because, because it was white trash Italian.
White trash Italian.
That's what it was.
I think the correct pronunciation via Roman is, it's with oil, so.
Is it alioli?
Aya oya.
Maybe.
I don't even know.
I don't know.
But my mother said it more like the way your family said it.
So if you know, please write it in. We're dying to find out.
And another thing, too, and it's like the way you're presenting it, if you didn't get it the first time, for some reason or other, they started to get louder.
Yes.
I said, aya oya.
You just say it louder. That's right. Maybe you didn't hear me.
However, we will agree on one thing, too.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
It's incredible if it's done really well. Like all those great Italian peasant foods. Like they're very basic ingredients. It's like only 3 or 4 ingredients. The ones that are done well. but they have to, if you do it correctly, like your grandmother had spent years developing it, then it's the most amazing food in the world. And we had like on Christmas Eve, we would have the Italian Black Fast. Did you have that in your family?
On Christmas Eve?
Yes, in my family, in the Etree, the Neapolitan style, on Christmas Eve there was no meat served.
Fish, the 7 fishes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So they would. So yeah, to show their sense of self-restraint, they would fill the table with lobsters and fish and all these really expensive seafoods. And so so you called it the 7 fishes. We call it the Black Fast. I don't know why it was called the Black Fast, but
Me neither. I never heard.
I never heard of that before.
I was wondering if it was
There you
Italian or was it
I have
Catholic.
no idea.
But I will say this: we called it the 7 fishes,
Right.
And I called it Doomsday because I'm allergic to fish.
Oh my God, dude! You
So
couldn't
guess
eat anything.
No. So guess what my mother did?
What did she do?
For me,
Wow.
I had to go into a different part of the house because I can't even do the smell.
Right.
I'm very highly allergic to fish.
Shellfish or
Shells.
just anything?
Anything that comes
Anything
out
from
of the
the
water.
sea.
Niacin
Wow.
turns me on fire.
That's a
So what would my mother make me every Christmas Eve?
Yeah.
Spaghetti aglio.
big eye.
I swear to God.
With the linguine.
Sometimes linguine.
Oh, it's okay. My grandma's
But
always linguine.
there was always another pasta that I like best out of all of it for aglio, which has garlic in it and
Yeah,
oil,
yeah.
right? So
Black
if it's
pepper.
done right, it's black pepper.
lots of pepper.
Oh,
Maybe
it's
some.
so
Well,
fucking-
anchovies, but not.
I'm
in your
like
case,
hungry
yeah.
right now. I didn't
know.
do the anchovy.
No, because you can't. Yeah.
Gavadils, cavatelli,
What's that now?
broccoli cavadil
Oh
aglio.
God, that's right, dude. I haven't thought about that in years.
So the white trash pronunciation is cafatelli,
right.
but in Italian it was gavadil. I don't know where the G came from because it's not on the box, but that's the way the Italians say it. Broccoli gavadil
Yeah.
with oil,
Right.
aglio olio,
Yeah.
and they put broccoli in it. So it's the best. I would like to have it right now.
Hey, can I tell you a quick story about my grandmother?
Of course.
Because I'm sure you know it. My grandmother's name was Clorinda Yolanda Bottoni. That was her name. It's about as Italian as good.
It's like a song.
I know, it's beautiful. Isn't
Beautiful.
It? Her nickname was Color. And when in 1965, when the year I was born, she promised herself and the whole family that she was never ever going to not fit in her 2-piece bikini, because that was a new thing back then. She had this gold bikini with black polka dots on it, and she swore that she was going to wear that until her death. So from that moment on, she only ate dry toast, Coca-Cola, black coffee, coffee ice cream, and Alka-Seltzer.
Coca-Cola?
Yeah. It made no sense. The diet made no sense.
Alka-Seltzer?
And Alka-Seltzer and eggs. Right? So she cooked everything. Like she made pasta. She made in the house. She walked around this pot, but she wouldn't eat any of it. She just lived on Alka-Seltzer in everything. And she would drink so much Alka-Seltzer that when she passed, by the way, she never gained a pound, never gained an ounce. She was skinny all the way through. She would make all the food and then just watch us eat, and she would drink her Alka-Seltzer. When she died, they said that in her stomach was a ball of Alka-Seltzer the size of a softball.
Really?
Yes, evidently she had consumed so much Alka-Seltzer that it had filled her stomach, so she was never hungry.
Maybe we should create a new diet. I'm trying to do intermittent fasting.
There
It's
you
not
go,
working.
dude. That was it. Alka-Seltzer. Okay. But she died. She died in her 60s. I think it was not so good for her heart. But yeah, I am not kidding. That's a
died in
real
her
story.
60s?
She died in her 60s.
See, that's
yeah.
sad,
Well, yeah.
man.
No, that's sad. So my family, they all died. Yeah.
Alka-Seltzer.
Yeah. I think it's amusing myself.
I don't know if anybody's going to get this, but plop, plop, fizz,
Fizz,
fizz.
fizz.
Oh, what a relief it is.
Yeah, it was crazy.
You remember when commercials had such a cool jingle?
I love those jingles.
Those.
yeah.
I don't even know if they're doing jingles anymore.
Remember Cookie Puss? Did you have Cookie Puss in New Jersey?
Wait a minute. Was it a cereal?
No, it was an ice cream, Carvel ice cream.
Yes.
Cookie Puss.
Cookie Puss.
Come on, you must remember
Yes.
Cookie Puss, right?
Yeah.
I loved it. It was Carvel
And
ice cream.
The Carvel with his voice, with that voice.
Yeah,
Come
Carvel.
on down to Carvel.
It was
He wanted to take a nap.
He sounded like a predator. I mean, like a child predator. Come on, kids. Come on in.
It sound like a
Come on down to the ice
We'll
cream
give you a
shop.
cookie puss. We'll give you a cookie puss.
Yeah, and also the whale one. It was same
Fudgy
form.
the whale.
Fudgy the whale.
Fudgy.
Which sounded even more predatory, if you ask me.
Yes.
I'm gonna give you a fudgy. Come on, it's like, that was just a really strange guy. Yeah,
That is fucking
and you never saw his
hilarious.
face either. It was just
No.
this disembodied voice over a picture of the whale ice cream sheet cake.
See, this could be like a trivia. What was his name?
Oh my gosh, wasn't it? I don't know.
Tom Carvel.
Ah, excellent, excellent.
This is Tom Carvel.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon. But this is Fudgy the Whale.
Fudgy the
That is
Whale.
right. Yeah, man. There was so many great jingles.
Yeah. Well, what about in New York, the Crazy Eddie?
Crazy Eddie. His prices are
Insane.
And he was insane.
Yeah.
Remember, he would go like this?
That's
I think he was in jail.
Yeah, those were out like in the 70s, and they were even in Providence, right on. They were on so often that I actually wanted to go to New York just to go to Crazy Eddie's. I was like, wow, that was so.
There was a Crazy Eddie's on Route 22 in Union, New Jersey, right next to the Four Seasons bowling alley. Now, there's history. The Four Seasons bowling alley was what created the Four Seasons.
Oh my God!
Because they said, it wasn't about the Four Seasons.
You talking about Frankie Valley?
Frankie
Four
Valley.
Seasons? Yeah,
That's
that makes
where they
sense.
got the name from the bowling
I
alley
would
where they
believe
were
that.
playing.
I would believe that.
No longer exists, but my mother used to tell me she went there all the time.
Yeah, I would believe
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Fudgy the Whale. How'd we even get on this topic?
Because we're talking about Italian food.
And food, yeah, but
Which
Fudgy the Whale.
obviously I love food. I'm sorry. I know you're
I
way
love
better
food,
at this
too.
than I am. He's actually keeping himself fit. I'm unfortunately.
I'm trying, man.
it's-
I'm 10 pounds overweight. 15.
I-
No, actually, my doctor told me just last week you're 20 pounds overweight.
I have gained and lost 100 pounds at least 3 or 4 times in my life.
100?
Easy.
Really?
3 or 4 times in my life.
How do you lose 100 pounds?
If you friggin' work your ass off, but it comes right back. It's like, I can't even express it. I could go into a long discussion about this. It would depress the fuck out of people. Sorry.
Really? All right, so let's rewind a little bit. Nice Italian fella from Rhode Island. When did you come out to Los Angeles?
2002 was
All right.
because I was working a lot in music, both as a recording artist and a producer, and also I worked a lot of those like stadium shows for U2 and Billy Joel, Elton John worked that show, just Frank Sinatra. I could tell you a story about Frank Sinatra you'd like.
All right, so let's explain to everybody
Okay.
the angle of the music industry that you were in. You're out there setting up the shows, getting
Right.
into the shows, booking the shows. What
Right.
exactly was it?
So this is what I did. I did a lot of things. So I would record bands. I would do the live sound for bands in small clubs, and that got me into being deck chief for, in this case, let's just say U2's Pop Mart tour. So deck chief, the job is you're on the main stage during the whole setup, and your job is to get everyone to move on the gear onto the stage and set it up, and then run the show and then get everything off. And it's a very complicated job because you have to do a lot of hiring. Plus, you have to manage all the departments: video, audio, lighting, everything. You have to manage all those departments. It's like being a foreman kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's like being a foreman kind of job. U2 was a 32-hour shift. It was the longest single day shift I ever did in my life. 32 hours on my feet.
Well, what exactly is that? I mean, you go to a, let's say, empty parking lot to put on the show.
Well, in this case, it was Foxborough Stadium. So, the 32-hour shift was the loadout. So let's just kind of figure out how that goes. So, I got there during the day. We'd already been setting up for 2 days. How they do that, by the way, in those larger concerts, in case you didn't know, is there are about 24 semi-trucks, right, that carry the lights and the sound system and everything and all the infrastructure that you need, the video and all that crap. There's 2 sets of them because they take so long to set up that one has to be going to the next gig while this set is working on this gig. You follow?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right. So so we have to roll in and set up all this gear, and then test the system out. And I remember the day. So you have a day of just setup, and then finally is the day of the show. I have to be there. And it was the first time I actually met U2 because you're hired by these people, but you don't actually meet them. So, but I was really lucky. The first time I actually met them, I was in Foxborough Stadium. It's empty. It's like 4 p.m. I remember this. It's one of the greatest moments of my life, actually. So I'm on stage, and with just the few crew members. Most of the crew have been released, and I'm a stagehand, so I get to stay. And then from under the stage, Bono comes out and he's got a microphone, and it's just Bono and his mic, and he's singing, still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Right.
He's practicing, he's getting kind of checking it out, and I'm just amazed, like, wow, Bono is like literally 20 feet from me, and then all of a sudden, there's the Edge. He's playing guitar, all the great riffs from all those great U2 songs that we love as a kid. I'm completely lost because I'm a guitar player, I'm a songwriter, and like these are two of my major heroes. I'm working this job. It's a beautiful sunny afternoon, 4:00 in the stadium, and then somebody taps my shoulder and hands me a beer. It's Adam Clayton, the bass player. Have a beer, mate. And he and I sat there drinking beers, watching Bono and the Edge warm up, and just that experience was just as a young man, just completely freaked me out and made me love entertainment. I've always loved entertainment, but that was one of them.
So you're definitely 100% part of it. I mean, does it become nerve-wracking when they actually play, and then you're actually
Here's the cool
going,
thing.
"Oh my God, I hope nothing blows. I hope there's no."
This is what actually. This is funny. You'd love this because I think you would understand this specifically because when you have a good night. But for me, what was interesting is so during the show, I was one of the few people that got to be on the stage. Yes, I'm wearing black. I'm not playing or anything. I'm just on stage in case something goes wrong. But there's 75,000 people pushing all this love toward the stage, and it's palpable. Like even though I'm not in the band, I could feel it's an indescribable experience of 75,000 people just pushing their love out at an entertainer. And I'm sure you in a bigger club when it's going well, you've had that experience. You can almost taste it, right?
Yeah.
It's so exciting. It's invigorating. So I had that experience. So and I was never really nervous. We were a good crew. Everything always went well. But afterward, the problem was we had to fit all of this gear into sea containers, which are 10 cubic feet smaller than a semi. And so they don't fit. So that's why I didn't finish until until a full 32-hour shift.
Did you eventually have a conversation with Bono and say,
No.
"Hey, can I get a picture with you?" Or
No, I was never that kind of guy.
Yeah.
I was never the guy that kind of. I probably should have. I was always, I was always the guy that kept my nose down. I think I do sound for film. I did sound for a Paramount movie with Pierce Brosnan and Tim Roth called The Misfits for Paramount. Came out, I guess, last year or something.
right.
I've never seen it. But I don't know.
So what exactly is
But-
the sound? You mean like?
Well, in this
I
case,
remember the term Foley artist.
right. So in this case, I got to really meet with. I spent a lot of time with Pierce and with Tim Roth. We were in the United Arab Emirates. We were filming in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and my job was to put microphones on people and then record the audio. It got distributed by Paramount, but in that case, I got to work much more close with name talent. And at Sound for Film, you do that all day long. You've been on a bunch of film sets, you know what I'm talking about. It's funny though because some talent are very, very. Most of them are very, very nice. Some of them are really interesting people to hang out with, and some of them will surprise you. They're not really so interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
listen, I love Pierce. Pierce Brosnan, sweet man. First of all, he loves his wife, which is really admirable. But he loves golf, and unfortunately, if you do not love golf,
I hate golf.
if you don't love golf, you have nothing to talk about because that's all he wants to talk about.
I've
is
played golf, and after a while, you're like, I don't know if I really like this.
You're
Where's my ball?
You're smart though, because I think that's where the deals are made.
Well,
I honestly
I played
think the reason
tournaments.
I know. See, well, there you go, and that's where you find your producers and you find your
Yes.
investors. I mean, that's.
I actually have.
I really should play golf. I absolutely should do that.
Well, I did a spoof on us playing golf. Italian American golf tournament.
Okay, what was
Where
the
are
best
the players?
joke? What was
I
the best
really
joke
don't
from
know.
that?
Did you lose your ball? Hey,
that's
hey.
great.
Ball knew a little too much. But that's great that you get to meet these incredible people in the entertainment business. Back up on the Sinatra one, you didn't.
Oh,
give-
right, the Sinatra story. This is true. So I did. I was doing Tanglewood, which is a venue in Western Mass, right? And that was like a jazz kind of classical place. So I did Wet Marsalis. I did Frank Sinatra. I did Liza Minnelli and all those people. It's funny, when Liza used to like run on the stage and then got to sing and then she'd run off the stage again. That was because
Good
there
old
was
days.
2 people on either side of the stage with lit cigarettes. She had in her rider 5 cartons of Marlboro cigarettes had to be in her dressing room, and they had to be people with lit cigarettes at all times. So she would, after she'd sing a verse and run off while the sax player's doing the solo, she would chain smoke and then come back on. Yeah, I swear to God, that's right.
Wow.
Right.
Why
But
did these singers smoke cigarettes?
I don't know. Well, it was this. I don't know. But Frank was really interesting because when he got off stage, it was me and a bunch of other guys, and he was very kind. He was one of the few performers that would hug and talk to the crew, because that normally didn't happen. He was very, some artists did, and I'll tell you some great stories about that. But Frank hugged me, and I could see and feel he had a gun in his breast pocket, in a holster. And it turned out his age. I asked his manager about it. He said, yeah, ever since John Lennon died. Ever since John Lennon was shot, Frank carried a six shooter with him
shit.
at all times.
Wow, and he had friends.
Right. No, it's true. But and I could see it because, that really probably scared the crap out of him. I mean, that was kind of crazy. To think that Frank could have taken 6 members of the audience out at any moment.
Or tried.
So don't boo him. That's for sure. Don't you?
You stink, Frank. Oh yeah.
Yeah. But he was a really nice person, and that was unexpected. I did not,
A couple of nights ago, for hundreds and hundreds of times, I've gotten to perform with. Now I'm going to forget his name. Motherfucker! Why did I bring this?
I hate that when the names get all confused. Yeah.
It's the original opening act for Frank Sinatra, Tommy Dreesen.
Okay.
Tom Dreesen was at the Laugh Factory. I love the guy. I got to get him on my podcast. And he was the opening act for Sinatra for many, many years. You should see the stories he has.
Oh, I'm sure.
He was also a pallbearer when Frank passed away.
Sure.
So it's really great. And I toured with Dean Martin's daughter, Dina, many, many times.
Wow.
So listening to her stories about the Rat Pack, which she calls uncles.
Yeah, it's true.
Uncle Frank, Uncle...
And they're just normal guys, normal people like you and me. I met Kurt Vonnegut, the author.
Ah, yes, I did read this in your thing. Now, I have to go on the record for saying this. What movie, if you're watching us right now, what movie was there a knock on the door and all of a sudden you saw, hi, I'm Kurt Vonnegut?
Oh my God, I don't even know the answer to that one. What is that?
Rodney Dangerfield, Back to School.
Oh my God, that's right. That's right.
And the kid opens the door and he goes, this is Kurt Vonnegut's work. And he goes, yeah, he's outside. And he comes in, hi, I'm Kurt Vonnegut.
That was a writing assignment thing. That was right, yes.
And he gets
So for those who don't know, Kurt Vonnegut is one of like the 5 greatest American novelists that ever lived. And when you work in a business like we do, where we run into celebrities, and that's normal. It's kind of our job, right? We run into celebrities. But then there's a certain group of celebrities that like are just these so iconic. They may not be famous to you or me, but to other people, but to us, they are just iconic, just great writers. Like maybe the original writer for the Tonight Show or something. You might feel that way, So Kurt Vonnegut was my hero, and I just happened by accident to be in a cafe in Northampton, Massachusetts. There was only me and one other elderly gentleman there, and it was Kurt Vonnegut having coffee.
How do you say his name?
I think it's Vonnegut. Vonnegut. I have a Redolent accent.
Do you know what
we put R's and everything? But he did he wrote, well, of course, the Slaughterhouse 5 was the most famous book he wrote.
Slaughterhouse 5,
right? But that's made in a movie. There's Happy Birthday Wanda June, which was on Broadway, a Broadway play. Slapstick, which starred Jerry Lewis. The list of books is really Cat's Cradle's being turned into a TV series by FX Network. He wrote that one as well. I could go on. It's a long list. Trust me, and you can pick any Kurt Vonnegut book, and they're absolutely brilliant. They're funny and brilliant. But what was really neat about meeting him there was because he was there because his daughter taught at Smith College, and he would go there to write a few months at the hotel. And it was just me and him, and all he talked about was how much he loved his daughter. And like this is an author that has given America some of its greatest novels. And if you look him up on YouTube, love his lectures. But it was really amazing just to hear him very passionately talk about his children. And that really brought home a lot for me, because listen, we live in an industry with entertainment's exciting, it's glitzy, it's glamorous, but there's something to be said about family. There's something to be said about love and about your children,
Yeah,
or the
of
people you
course.
love. And in the end, that's what's really the most important thing.
Right.
Is finding that kind of centeredness.
Well, I wonder if his kids are actually in show business, or did they become writers?
Well, she's a professor. I don't know what she's a professor of, though, but she's at Smith College.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And I only know Kurt Vonnegut because of that movie with Rodney Dangerfield. Because I'm a huge Rodney Dangerfield fan. That's actually what got me into stand-up. I always thought Rodney was the best and one of the funniest guys.
Well, you should definitely pick up a Vonnegut book.
All right.
These days.
I will do that.
I recommend it. So.
Is he the one that inspired you to write?
No, Charles Bukowski. Do you know Charles Bukowski?
I don't.
Well, there was I never graduated college. I couldn't afford it. I grew up. When I grew up. When I was 12, my folks got divorced, and I remember standing in line with my mom to get government cheese and canned pork. We were on welfare.
Right.
And my mother would bring me along because we could get twice the cheese and twice the canned pork, which explains why I'm so big today.
That's hilarious. My mother brought me so we could get more cheese.
Yeah, we had more cheese with these giant blocks of cheese that were like, and you had to figure out how to use them. So like we just put cheese on everything. It was crazy. Anyway,
but now I'm lactose intolerant.
Well, I know, yeah, right. So what was? Sorry, I
we were talking about who was your inspiration to write.
Charles Bukowski, right? So I grew up, and I didn't finish college, and then and I was an okay player. I was a good player. I was as far as a musician goes, but I was more of a creative type. But what happened was I read Charles Bukowski, who was a poet in L.A., who wrote about three things: booze, whores, and bar fights. That's all he ever wrote about. Booze, whores, and bar fights. And
good topic.
Yeah, I know, it's great. And the thing about Bukowski, and if you've never read it, pick up a book. There's a book called Love Is a Dog from Hell, which is amazing, of his poetry, and the novel Ham on Rye, which is about his childhood. But he wrote about like really basic stuff. His stories have no beginning, they have no end, they're just middle, about ordinary drunk people just trying to get through a day. Mm-hmm. And that led me to believe, and then I'm sure you can relate, that I could write everything, even though I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I'm not the most educated guy in the world. That my life has meaning, and I've learned things that people want, stories that people can relate to. And that's really what it comes down to, right?
Right.
I mean, even as a comic, you're drawing from your personal life, right?
My personal life is what becomes interesting to everybody because they identify.
Right.
And once you say, hey, I went to the store, and people go, my God, I went to that store too.
Exactly.
That's when everybody says he's a genius. Yeah. Really, we're kind of just people who recall what you're going through.
Right. And I always tell young people, look, you're never going to be Steven Spielberg.
Right.
You're not going to be Martin Scorsese. You're not going to be Francis Ford Coppola. But here's the good news. They will never be you.
That's a
they can't be
great
you.
saying.
So
right on my show, they can never be us.
They can never be us.
They're never going to be us.
If we are just us, and as honest as we can, if we can get just a little bit of that honesty through, even in our comedy or in our writing, we will succeed. And Stephen King wrote in a book called On Writing. I'm not a big Stephen King fan, but he wrote a damn good book on writing, and I recommend it. He said that he can never write for himself because he's never satisfied. Right. And he can't write for his audience because they are fickle, and you understand that. They are fickle. He writes everything for his wife.
Is that right?
Yeah. And what he does is he says if I know that my wife likes it, everyone that agrees with my wife will also like it.
Right. It's very powerful sayings, very cool stuff. That brings you to writing.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I got into the WGA, but it's funny. Why I got into the WGA? Which, by the way, if you don't know, is the Writers Guild of America in the West here. So it's very hard to get in. I can do that much. I get in by sheer friggin' luck. I was trying to write a script that I could afford to produce. I'm a filmmaker, and I was trying to write a script I could afford to produce. And I wrote I just took the worst night of my life and then I just turned the bad guys in that one night, which is true, all true. And I turned the bad guys into a monster at the end. They become like a monster,
Right.
Just to make it more interesting. And I wrote that script in 7 days. Just bang, just knocked it out. Like normally a script takes me, 3-4 months, 5 months to write. This went 7 days. I just knocked it out, and I just sent it in to a couple of festivals like Slam Dance and Bigfoot and these other major screenwriting competitions, and I won, which is fantastic. And that was the gift. The prize was I got into the Writers Guild, got a little card. But this is a prime example of how if we write what we know and come from where we are, then suddenly people will respond to it. Because remember, I'd written a bunch of scripts up to that point. Yeah. But I wrote one that was very personal about me and also the girl I fell in love with, who's actually now in prison serving time for murder, which is... How's that for a bombshell?
What just happened?
Yes.
We'll be right back after this commercial break. Here's another word from our sponsors.
There you go.
Would you like some cheese and Alka-Seltzer? What the fuck?
It's true. I'm not kidding you. See, real life is more fat. Like, it proves one thing. Like, if you live long enough, eventually one of your friends will kill somebody.
Wow. Or you'll know somebody that knew somebody that got killed.
That's right.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's true. What a head trip.
Wow. Okay.
You want to hear that story?
Well,
You don't know.
you have a... Say it again?
You want to hear the story about my friend why she ended up in prison?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everybody likes a good
There you go.
story.
It's a crazy story. Well, first of all, look. Okay, so Sandra Beauregard, who I wrote, that's her name, from
It
Providence.
sounds like a fake name.
Sandra, I swear.
Sandra Beauregard.
Sandra. Yes.
Sandra.
Sandra. She was very careful. It's an E, not an A. Sandra Beauregard. Yeah. French Canadian, of course, because in Rhode Island we have a lot of French Canadians.
Love
Canada.
French
Canadians.
Love those French Canadians.
So she's from that
Toronto.
line. But she was in Providence, and she and I both played in a bunch of bands. She played in a band called the Pussycats, not Josie and the Pussycats. I know it was not the most original idea, but that's okay. You're a teenager. So she played in a girl band called the Pussycats, and I was in another band at the time.
Would you play?
I played guitar in a band called Fat Buddha. Right.
Buddha.
Well, there you go.
I'm a drummer. We should jam.
All right. There you go.
I got a jam.
So, I was in one of those really kind of cute punk bands that were, popular in Boston and New York. Anyway, so to make a long story longer, we were really close, and I was madly in love with her. But she was a senior in high school, so, nothing could happen. It was like, 'cause, I was respectful. But, when you're 22... God, those, high school seniors, they just look amazing, right?
Yes.
It's,
Even now.
I know.
You didn't hear from me.
Yeah. So, and then also at the time, she was thinking that maybe she's going to play for the other team. She's thinking maybe she's going to be a lesbian.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. She was back in the 80s. She had nice, those cute suit jackets. She looked like is it Mary Stuart Masterson or so, I think from those 80s movies or something. Anyway. But we hung out for a long time, and then we both kind of got into the music scene and got really involved in drugs, which is a whole other story. And then because of that, our lives just drifted apart. So I didn't see her for a long time, and I got clean and sober. I've been sober now for 20 years.
Oh, congratulations,
Yeah,
man.
I ran out of a burning building, so there you go. Congratulations, you didn't catch yourself on fire. But one day I got a text message saying, Sandra has been arrested, and I hadn't seen or heard from her. We went to Europe together now. Okay, why were we in Europe?
As friends or a little dating act?
No, this is weird. This is actually true. So why were we in Europe together? Because in 92 my dad died. In 93 my mother died. In 94 the man who was going to be the best man at my wedding, Todd Benson, he died. So we moved the wedding, and then a year later, and then when that wedding came up I caught my other friend in bed with my fiance 9 days before my wedding.
Oh, wait a minute.
I was
man.
literally holding my tuxedo.
Is fucked
That
up.
guy went on to produce Flight Plan starring Jodie Foster, which proves one thing: really horrible people succeed in Hollywood.
We need to get horrible. But what?
Okay, no. Except, so this was the honeymoon that I had purchased. So I'd like, Sandra, I'm not going on this honeymoon. I've already paid for it. you want to come to Europe with me? And she said, sure. So I just wanted to get out, right? So she and I backpacked to Europe for a month, right? And that was the best thing to do, right? Just, I paid for it, screw it, it's already done. You would have done the same thing, right? Just take off.
I don't know. I think I would have killed my ex-boyfriend.
Well,
my
yeah,
buddy.
actually, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It was
man.
crazy. It's crazy.
Why are they together?
No, she's with another guy now. Of course not. Because all that guy wanted to do is just take the girl from me. It's one of those guys.
That's nasty.
But
Nasty.
you know what? Now she's a yoga teacher, Shavadic, whatever. She's got a little turban.
Did you ever have closure? Did you ever call up and say, "Why did
No.
you do that?"
No.
Even
Well,
how about
okay,
to your friend? Did you ever say to your friend,
No.
"Dude, what the fuck, man?
No.
You were my buddy."
The closest thing we came to, she said, you lost your parents and your best friend, and I didn't know how to handle it. I thought you were going to go crazy, so I needed to leave you, and I didn't have a reason, or something like that. That's just,
It's bullshit.
but you know what? We were young.
Okay.
It's
Blame it
over.
on young.
Yeah, it's but this is the story about how she ended up killing her girlfriend. Okay, so anyway, so this is a great story. Okay, so after Europe, we kind of lost touch, and then I got a message about 4 years ago on Christmas Eve. Sandra's been arrested. So I look it up, and finally, Sandra Berger. Now, she was off the grid. I lost, she was not on the internet, no email, nothing. I had no idea where she was for like 10 years. And then, sure enough, she had been arrested for the murder of her girlfriend. She had been fallen into heroin, and she was already mentally unstable, God bless. And this is an example of where the system fails people with mental illness, which is sad. And then they go on to create these crimes. So in a drug-induced haze, the two of them, she shot her girlfriend. And what's interesting to note is we all talk about that. Like, oh, I want to kill her. Yeah, I want to kill her.
Yeah.
She's got follow-through, Mike.
She
You
actually-
have to give her
she
credit.
actually-
That's follow-through.
Is she alive? Is she in jail?
She's in jail. So at the very least, you have to give her that credit.
So let's just recap now,
Okay,
because
okay.
I did digest most of this.
Yeah.
So after your buddy stabbed you in the back with your fiance,
Yeah.
you went on a vacation to Europe with
With
a
my
girl
with my
who's
other
your
best friend, Sandra.
who finally somehow in the future you find out she killed her girlfriend.
Right. And
Wow.
so back to the story of this film I wrote. So she's a character in a lot of my movies in some version or other because I visited in the prison several times. I'm always trying to rewrite the history.
You went to visit her in the prison?
I do a lot.
What's that like?
It's weird because like a lot of my friends are like, oh, we want to write her off because look, she's a mentally unstable person. She's dangerous. But I only remember her as the 20-year-old girl that I went to Europe with.
So now
I never saw anything after that.
So now when you go to visit her in prison, do you ever say, "Hey, why did you do that?"
You know what she did say to me, which I thought was very interesting. She said when she shot her girlfriend, she said, should I call 911? And her girlfriend said, who was shooting up at the time, her girlfriend said, no, I want to die.
Oh.
So just leave. Which is, I think, is really, that's great. That's great film right there. And then when the medics came to pick her up, they thought she died of a heroin overdose because she had been shot in the lung, and the blood went inside the lung. There was no blood in the outside. So it wasn't until the autopsy later they actually discovered that she had been shot.
And this is some inspiration for the movie that you just did?
Well, the thing is, all in my script, Sandra as a character appears often. Even my current movie, Everything Will Be Fine in the End. I wrote it, I directed it, produced it, did the score, everything. And it's doing very well in festivals. Everything Will Be Fine in the End. You guys got to look for that.
Well, that's what I want to talk about right now because
Right. Sandra
now
is
I can't
kind
wait
of,
to see the movie.
it's kind of reflecting, she's in the character George, and she's always coming up.
she's in the
all
male
my-
character?
Well, George is a girl.
George is the one with the tattoos?
George is one with the tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I think a lot of them do. I saw the trailer. I
Yeah.
thought it was great. We're going to take a few seconds to show everybody that trailer right now,
All right.
which I think this is a perfect setup for the actual trailer that you're telling us about this girl who killed somebody that's in jail. Unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
you didn't know it was going to go this way today, did you, Mike?
I told you, I don't ever want to follow my own format. Fuck that shit. This is so much more fun. We're going to have to do another episode.
All right,
Because
all
this is
right.
going to take forever. All right. So I just watched the trailer of your project. Everything will be fine in the end. So why don't we take a look at that? If you don't mind, set us up.
Okay, well, so Everything We Find in the End is a story about, oh my God, it's about the people I knew back in Providence. We were kind of like these punk scene, tattoos and ever, and we're all just trying to get by. We're kind of aimless, and so one of the girls, George, has stolen a dog, and she's kind of started dating her drug dealer. It's really based a lot on my drug dealer, and also at the time Sender's drug dealer. There's a real guy named Buzz who's like 85 now, and so she's kind of involved with Buzz, and the hustle's not going well, and so Buzz steals her dog, which she's already stolen from somebody else, steals her dog, and so the rest of the film she's trying to get the dog back, and every time she tries to get the dog back, it gets worse and worse. They end up breaking into a house. They accidentally kill a woman. The ghost of the woman starts chasing him around. It's a very, very insane film, very strange, and but I think you're gonna enjoy it.
They're going to enjoy it. Let's take a look. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the trailer. Everything will be fine in the end.
Are you Max?
Yeah, why not? Are you Julia?
Can't be George. Looking for your dog?
Is this guy filling the rest?
Oh, yeah. Inside the hole. I got a plan.
How does that get your dog back?
We take her shit. We sell. Chill, Ray. She's dead. That shit is on you.
All right. Well, hey, man, absolutely fantastic. Okay, this is the second time that I was lucky enough to watch the trailer, and I hope everybody's enjoying the trailer. So tell us a little bit about where this is going to go and what your hopes are in the future of this project. You might even want to tell us a little bit about the cast, who are actually really, really
Good.
Good.
Thanks. Well, during COVID, I shot this during COVID, and unfortunately, as you well know, because you're in the industry, indie film is extremely expensive in LA. It's crazy expensive, but you can't. But especially with COVID, COVID will take up 30% of your budget.
Yeah.
So right. So if you're running a
Can
SAG
I
show,
explain that to everybody? I
Yeah.
don't even know if we still have to do that.
no,
But during COVID, you had to run
Yeah.
tests. Everybody had to be
Right,
okay.
right.
You had to.
so if you use
the
SAG union
protocol.
actors, right?
Did you?
No, I couldn't go
Right.
SAG. I had to go non-union. And so, because are you SAG or non-union?
I'm SAG since I'm 13 years old.
There
Could
you
you
go.
imagine
Okay.
that?
Yeah. So
But we
so,
do a thing
so,
called FICOR, which means you can work on a project because you're financially
Yeah.
in need.
Well, but at the time though, I would have had to show SAG all these test results, which is very important, by the way. But I couldn't afford the tests that they wanted, so I couldn't. I had SAG actors. I had to go non-union on this. So there's no one super famous except there's one guy named Kent who was in a film called Surveillance, which was a David Lynch produced thing. Jennifer Lynch's daughter made it.
Right.
Kent Harper, who wrote it and acted in, he's in the film. He plays my old drug dealer Buzz. But
Buzz.
yeah, there you go. But so there's that cast member, and of course George by Elsa Kennedy is a rock musician from Boston. I've actually even Stephen Michael Martin, who plays Kai, is a rock musician. He is in my former movie, and then Cheska Zayed is also a rock musician in LA, pretty well respected singer songwriter. I like working with rock musicians because as a comic, you know this. Some actors are not really up to working down and dirty, hard, bare bones indie film. It's exhausting. Rock musicians and comics, you guys are used to being abused and taken advantage of.
You ain't kidding.
So it's like
You gotta drive for 2 hours.
That's right.
You gotta go on stage for an hour and 15 minutes. How much does it pay? Well, there's no money.
there's no money.
We just need to see if
Right,
you're
yeah, you're
good
like, oh,
enough.
yeah. So
There's money in the future.
it's always money in the future. But yeah, so I work a lot with musicians in a lot of my films. Hopefully, one day I want to get more funding. I can do this. So that's for the cast.
And you will. I like that leading actress. She was fantastic.
Yeah,
Who is that?
Elsa Kennedy. Right. Again, now Elsa. It's funny how I got her by accident. I had written the film specifically for Extine Fullwood from Extine. What was her band? Jeez, she's a local band here, but she turned it down because of the sex scene. So I had to start recasting it. Christine Fullwood and that'll come back to me. But I love Extine. She's in the movie. She didn't want to do the sex scene. Now the question you should ask me is, Joe, why is there a sex scene in your movie? Well,
Joe, why is there a sex scene in your movie? Why isn't there
Right,
supposed to be a
right.
sex scene in most movies?
Right. Why is there a three-way sex scene in your movie involving sandwiches?
With cheese.
There with cheese.
And Alka-Seltzer.
And then my answer is because I couldn't afford a car crash, and I couldn't afford guns and stuff like that.
Wait a minute. Let that joke play. Why is there a sex scene? I can't afford a car crash.
I couldn't afford a car crash. Right, that's it. I couldn't afford a car chase.
It's a great joke.
There you go. So I said, guys, I got to sell this movie somehow. There's nobody famous in it. There's no car crash.
Why is there a sex scene? Do you know how much dynamite costs?
I got to sell it somehow. So there you go. No, but it was an accident. I should get it because when I opened it up, I guess it was on the Backstage, or what was those websites?
For casting?
Yeah.
Backstage.
Backstage. Okay, it was Backstage. I accidentally put international, not Los Angeles only.
Right.
And I was getting all these people from all over the world. And Elsa sent her videotape in from Boston. She had never been an actress before in her life.
Oh, no
had
kidding.
never acted in her life.
So where was the audition? Online?
She did a self-tape, and she was so amazing. My wife had worked at Warner Brothers. I worked there too at Warner Brothers, but my wife was director of licensing at Warner Brothers. So she dealt with Dan Aykroyd, and she dealt with Spielberg and all these people. And she said, this person's phenomenal, just a natural talent.
And she came all the way in?
She flew out from, and the funny part was, Elsa didn't know, I didn't know if she was crazy. I knew she was crazy, but I didn't know if it was the good kind of crazy. She didn't know if I was some kind of weird producer predator type. It was a real risky thing that we did. And she was so courageous to come out, and for the money we're offering her and the conditions, and she put her whole heart into this movie.
Where did you shoot?
We shot, you know what? I really we were very fortunate. They were building the 6th Street Bridge. Remember they tore that down? Here in Los Angeles, the 6th Street Bridge?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so the 6th Street Bridge, if you don't know,
right?
is the iconic bridge. It's in every Hollywood film about LA. They film on the 6th Street Bridge. It's right in downtown. And they had torn it down because it was just on disrepair. So we were able to get in there while they were actually, that period of time when they were rebuilding it. And it's all this construction and everything. And I really wanted to make that the theme, the background theme in the movie. There's all this, so lots of shots at the construction site. Yeah, well, yeah, it's true.
I thought you were in Venice Beach.
No. We actually shot there. We shot, which is there's a lot of graffiti there, massive amounts of graffiti. It is a bad neighborhood area. We also shot over at Santee Alley, which is where the fashion district is. We shot there. And we shot here in the valley. Most of the rest of it was right here in the valley where I live. So we shot over at the park here. But I would have had I known, I would have raised $100,000 because I was going to shoot this for $25,000. Had I known I would be successful at raising $100,000, I would have shot the entire movie in Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't have the cash. So my next movie, I'm going to shoot back in Providence.
Hopefully, and you will have the cash, because what gets you the cash? This project.
Well,
Why don't you tell everybody where they can actually see the project?
Yeah, let's hope that works. I don't know how it works. Finding money is weird.
Finding money is very...
Finding money is weird. Because, who gives out money, Mike? It's guys our age that have spent their whole lives making money, not paying attention to entertainment. So they don't know entertainment. They just know money. And so you're trying to convince them. It's like this. Oh, I have this amazing bicycle idea. It's an incredible idea for a bike. It's going to look amazing. I just need you to give me $15,000 to make it. And that's kind of what it's like, right?
Yeah. It's crazy. But sometimes the joy does come.
Yes.
And when it does come, it just ignites us to keep on doing better and better projects
Yeah.
that make people happy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I'm actually a stand-up comic because I work all the time.
Right.
And hopefully I get some acting work because that's what I would really like to do.
Sure.
And that's why we mix and we mingle. We do podcasts. You never know who you're going to work with.
Oh, Mike, I'm going to put you in my movie.
I'm ready. I'm going to play a lesbian that gets killed and I go to jail.
Right. You have a giant block of cheese.
Alka-Seltzer plop plop.
That's right.
No,
Yeah.
Let's do the documentary on Fudgy the Whale.
Yeah.
How did Tom Carvel start? I don't even know if most people remember Tom, but was that just mostly an East Coast thing?
You know what? Surprisingly, more people know about Carvel than you might think.
Yeah,
They really do.
Just the
And you
best.
can look it up on the on YouTube. The commercials are up there. So.
Yeah. Well, tell everybody where they can see your project.
Well, currently only in festivals. I
So
haven't
you can't
picked-
see it on the internet?
I have not picked a distributor. I'm waiting for all the deals to come in, and all the deals really suck. Oh my god, I could do an entire podcast on just film distribution and how much it sucks right now
Yes.
as an indie filmmaker.
We're going to distribute your film, and this is how much money you're going to pay us to do it.
Yeah, it's such a crazy business now.
Yeah.
But so I'm gonna settle up. I think in February. So right now, it's gonna be playing in the 23rd annual Real Independent Film Festival in Hollywood, which is in March, late February, March, and then it's playing in Europe and like a lot of festivals in Europe right now. But it will be.
Do you have the trailer online? Like they can
Yeah.
go visit you?
Yeah, you know what? If you go to Facebook, look up Everything Will Be Fine at the End, the film.
Say that just a little slower.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Because you got to.
I get a fast talk.
Yeah,
I'm a Rhode Islander.
You're the most.
I'm a Rhode Islander.
The most fast-talking man I've ever met in my
There you go.
entire life. But nice
Everything-
and slow so that everybody can see this.
Everything Will Be Fine in the End.
It's a great title.
There you
Everything
go.
will be fine in the end.
There you go. On Facebook and or just I think on Vimeo, just look up me, which is Joe Bartone, Bartone, on Vimeo.com, and the trailers are up there. Actually, there's some scenes up there too. There's a lot of music videos that I made up there from the film and from previous films. There's all my shorts and all my music videos are there
Yes,
too.
definitely visit Joe Bartone on the internet. Take a look at his work,
Yeah.
and maybe one of these days he'll post a picture of him and Bono shaking
There
hands.
is no picture of me.
How about Sinatra?
No.
So, you got to get these pictures.
I should have.
We're
going
gonna
to
take a picture of the two of us when we're done.
I really should have done these. It does seem kind of silly, but you know.
Well, hey, man, I want to thank you so much for coming down the basement.
Yeah.
We got to get going. I want everybody to follow Joe Bartone and see what he's got going on. Check out his music. Check out his videos. Check out the next podcast that he's going to be on because we're going to have to do a follow-up because he knows somebody who's in prison for murder.
We never did get to that part. Yeah, that's for
We'll have
next
to come
time.
Part 2.
Part 2.
We're going to get going. Thank you, everybody, for watching the show. Let's do a nice big shout out to my producer, Tatiana Blue Shell, for always making sure that we do great podcasts. We have great guests on the show, and they're great for everybody to watch and see. You can see us all the time on my YouTube channel, which is Mike Marino Live. You can watch us here on Instagram. You can watch us also, well, not here on Instagram, but eventually on Instagram, YouTube, my Facebook, iTunes, Google, Spotify, Anchor. You could also listen to the podcast on Italian American Radio out of New York City. All right? Let's make America Italian again. Don't forget, you don't know nothing, you don't see nothing, you don't say nothing. And how do I end every single one of my podcasts? By always saying the same thing with my guest. Don't take no shit from nobody.
No,
Ready?
nobody. All right.
Don't take no shit from nobody. Look how serious you were on that one, man. All right, buddy. So come on, what do you think, huh? Did I make you laugh? I bet you're laughing. I want to make you laugh more. Why don't you tell me what you think, okay? You can comment down here. You can hit the like button. You can watch some more videos right over here. Or you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll always be in touch with you.